Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's Meta Knight Info here, back with another video today, and as you can see on the top right corner, welcome to VRChat. Now, immediately you guys might be wondering, whoa, VRChat, that's a drastic game change for you to pick. Well, this is actually a video idea I've been thinking about for a bit of time now. So I just wanted to get this video idea out of the way real quick before we move on to Undertale. Yes, the next video will be Undertale Part 1. Probably by the time you guys are watching me say the intro, I'm probably already editing Undertale Part 1. So that's for you guys to know. So what are we doing here in VRChat? And also, as a matter of fact, when did I start getting into playing VRChat? Actually, I've been playing it for a while now. Actually, as a matter of fact, I actually started in August of last month playing VRChat, and honestly, this game was not at all what I expected. It's actually a pretty fun game. I'm not gonna lie. If I were to make a real world comparison to compare this game to anything else, this is essentially the real life version of Ready Player One. That's pretty much as close as this game's gonna quit. Or well, you could say metaverse as well. It's the same idea, but they're both the same concept where they're going to be virtual reality simulators and stuff. So what am I going to be doing here in VRChat? Well, throughout my journeys in VRChat, and just like in Ready Player One, you're able to travel to different worlds, essentially traveling through the cyberverse. And throughout my travels, I found very cool things, such as avatar worlds that have like really cool avatars and stuff like that. I found games which are really cool, which are like for example, a recreation of Among Us. I found a sort of tribute to like Zombie Black Ops, for example, and then I think another one as well is a also a nod to like Tron. It's like called R4 Battle Discs, and it's really cool. Also, speaking of Tron, they even have a light cycle recreation. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can find here on VRChat, which is why I really do like this game quite a bit. And I have actually met a lot of very nice people here on VRChat as well. So gotta give a shout out to the overstuffed teddy bear himself, Luis99 Wolf, because he actually introduced me to this game. So thank you so much, brother. You're the best. So what we're going to be doing in this video is the fact that also another interesting world concept that I found is that many people have made recreations of roller coasters from certain theme parks. Either they're from certain Disney theme parks such as Disney World or Disneyland, or some from Universal Studios Hollywood or Universal Studios Orlando, or even Universal Studios Japan. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be taking a look at the various ride recreations that exist today so far in VRChat, and then at the end of the video, we're going to go ahead and we're going to rank each one. But before we do that, in case you guys are wondering, yep, there's me, front and center. And you guys immediately may be thinking, what? A 3D model of yourself? How is that possible? Well, you guys remember a long time ago when I made the update for Star Wars Legends, the live action project that I was working on, and I told you I was 3D modeling a 3D model of the Rogue Shadow? Well, for VRChat, since I've mainly been using like a bunch of like avatars that were already made, but since there was none of myself, I couldn't help resist. I'm like, okay, I want to play as myself. How do I do it? So after figuring that out, I did it. I modeled myself. I may not look that great, but honestly, I'm happy. I'm just happy that I get to play as myself. Think about this. This might not be a big deal to you guys, but it's a big deal to me. The fact that I can literally play as myself in a video game using a 3D model that I made from scratch. And yes, you guys, I didn't there you guys immediately be thinking, "Oh, you probably paid somebody to get this made for you, right?" Nope. I literally made this from scratch. I 3D modeled it myself. I put it together myself, add all the skeleton bones into the avatar, the 3D model. I did everything. Literally everything, even programming certain accessories such as my sword and a bunch of other accessories that I really think are like really cool that I did. And honestly, I'm super proud of this project, which I codenamed Project Avatar. As the name would implies, this is Project Avatar, which is meant to be the project, which brings me into VRChat. But enough about me bragging about my amateur 3D modeling skills. We're here to take a look at some roller coasters. So we got a few to take a look at today. So here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna take a look at all the Disney themed ones first. Then we're gonna take a look at all the other the Universal Studios ones second. So we're gonna take a look at the two opposing competitions one by one, starting with Disney, which so far the only ride recreations that are Disney related are based off the Tower of Terror, which is a really cool ride. It's a shame that well, first off, let's be real, I would be an absolute wuss to ride on the Tower of Terror, so I wouldn't even attempt to actually ride on it myself because I hate doom drops and stuff. But I have to admit that when it comes to rides being iconic, the Tower of Terror is definitely one of them. Now, there is 5 recreations of the Tower of Terror that we're going to be looking at. There's 2 of them right here, as you can see on my screen. Right here's the one for Disney World, which is the original version. Here we have the Disneyland version. These are made by the same creator, as far as my knowledge goes. They're made by Shovel Knight. Shout out to Shovel Knight. And also the actual game Shovel Knight. So we're going to take a look at his ride recreations first. Let me just go ahead and drop a portal real quick, and then we'll be on our way. And even the portals, I will say that the portals for Ready Player One, they do look slightly better than the VRChat ones, but you gotta admit that looks cool. Right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a look at our very first ride. So without further ado, let's do it. Alright guys, we are here. So as you can see, right off the bat, this already has the feel that probably was in Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World. And well, that looks like the Tower of Terror as seen in Walt Disney World. I forget, did they change it to Guardians of the Galaxy 2? Or is it still Tower of Terror in Disney World? I forget, I'll have to look that up later. But as you can see, the creator of this world did one hell of a job recreating Tower of Terror, and it looks just like it. The feel is already there. It looks just like how it does in Hollywood Studios in Disney World, and overall, everything it just looks perfect. So it even has like the same lighting and everything. It even has the ghostly supernatural changing sign that clearly says the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror VR. So yeah, overall, really well done from the gate, and yeah. So if you're watching this video, Shovel Knight, just know that I rode on your ride, and it's amazing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get in line. As you can see, the gate even says Hollywood Tower Hotel right there and everything. And also, in case you guys are wondering, yes, I have actually seen the original footage for every single one of these rides, so I know what the real life version is. So we're going to be ranking every single ride based on how accurate they are to the original, changes that needed to be done in order to make the game, to make this world work in VRChat, and overall if it felt the same as the original. And although I have rode a few of these in real life. I think maybe only like 2 of them. These rides I actually rode in real life because I don't got a lot of money. But nevertheless, though, I'm going to do my best to rank these, and hopefully you guys don't kill me for it. Well, not you Galaxy Defenders. I'm talking about the other people who watch this video. But let's go ahead and make our way through the queue. I got no idea if the queue is actually this long. I always watch those videos that never showcase the queue, so I don't know if this is correct, or rather, if this is accurate, or if this is just like just a long queue, just for the sake of it being a long queue. So we're about to enter the door right now for the Tower of Terror. So we just need to take a left right here at this doorway, and right there is the front door. Alright guys, we are now in the main lobby of the Tower of Terror, and as you can see, based on the waiting area in the Disney World version, this looks pretty spot on. I am pretty sure. Like all the details, all the necessary details are there. And overall, the feel it's there. That like sort of creepy, mysterious feel that you don't know what's gonna happen. That the Tower of Terror had. Overall, it's pretty spot on. And the fact that the logo is actually correct as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and enter this door. So basically, if you guys decide to come into this world, when you enter the door, you have 10 seconds for everybody to get in. Otherwise, you gotta go ahead and rejoin the world. So in order to respawn into the world, for those of you who haven't played VRChat, just go ahead and go to the world, go to the one that you're already in, and click the rejoin button. I'm not gonna do it now because I'm gonna respawn like an idiot. But yeah, so let's go ahead and make our way inside and let the mystery begin. Also, by the way, for those of you copyright people out there who try to claim my video, all rights that are in this video, any copyrighted audio, they belong to the original owner. None of this belongs to me, and I'm just writing the rights. So please don't copyright my video. Or don't give me a strike. If you're going to claim it, then that is what it is, but don't strike my video. Alright, so the TV comes on just like in the original pre-show, and yeah, it's about to begin. So let's go ahead and let's take a closer look. Okay, already I can say this, that it usually takes a bit... oh, there we go.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Hollywood, 1939. Amid the glitz and the glitter of a bustling young movie town at the height of its golden age, the Hollywood Tower Hotel was a star in its own right, a beacon for the show business elite. Now, something is about to happen that will change all that. The time is now, on an evening very much like the one we have just witnessed. Tonight's story on the Twilight Zone is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction.
Okay, right. So that's the end of the pre-show right there, and that. Honestly, that's already going to take off a couple points from it, is because that doesn't happen all the time with this version of the world. But for some reason, the pre-show cuts off before it finishes. It doesn't always happen, but I will have to cut off some points for that when we rank the version. All right. So now we are in the boiler room. This is the maintenance hatch where the elevator will arrive. All right. So right here is the maintenance service elevator. So let's go ahead and call it down. Let's go ahead and press the button. Oh, here it comes. Also, for those of you guys wondering how I'm playing VRChat, I rigged it so I'm able to play with my Xbox One controller. So no PC controls for me today. Alrighty, let's go ahead and pick our seat. We're gonna go ahead and sit right here. Actually, no, we'll sit in the middle so you guys can see everything. But I gotta do it fast. Oh wait, there's no middle. Oh.
You are the passengers in a most uncommon elevator about to ascend into your very own episode of The Twilight Zone. One stormy night long ago, 5 people stepped through the door of an elevator and into a nightmare. That door is opening once again, and this time, it's opening for you. To discover what lies beyond the 5th dimension, beyond the deepest, darkest corner of your imagination, in the Tower of Terror.
Oh, here we go. Sorry for not speaking, I was just too immersed. Oh. Oh, jeez. Holy crap. Dude, I'll never be able to get used to this.
Welcome back to those of you who made it, and a friendly word of warning. Something you won't find in any guidebook. The next time you check into a deserted hotel on the dark side of Hollywood, make sure you know just what kind of vacancy you're filling, or you may find yourself a permanent resident of the Twilight Zone.
Alright, so that is the Florida version of Tower of Terror all done. So overall, in case you're wondering why there was a bit of lag there during the ride, that is not my recording software's fault. It actually is the world, because apparently the world is so graphic heavy when it comes to like the video of the pre-show and stuff, that it just makes the world so laggy as a result. Even if I wasn't recording, you would still get this lag in this world. Also, another bonus of this world that I forgot to mention is the fact, well, you get your picture taken now. Look at that. That's awesome. That looks cool, in my opinion. Honestly, I'm actually gonna take a picture of this real quick. Let me just do that. Since I haven't taken a photo of myself in my armor yet. Well, right in the Tower of Terror, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. There we go. Okay, sweet. So let's go ahead and make our way to the exit. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So overall, this is a very faithful recreation of the Tower of Terror, the original one, in fact. There was a bit of lag that did make it out of sync, and unfortunately, there is nothing that can be done about that based on the way the world was made. But overall, a very, very faithful recreation. Overall, whoever made the Imagineers that made the original version of Tower of Terror, honestly, I think they'd be proud of Shovel Knight here for his version of the Tower of Terror. All right, so let's go ahead and I said that twice. Let's go ahead and make our way to the Disneyland version, also made by Shovel Knight. And, well, we'll take a look at that in a second. So, without further ado, we just gotta wait for the portal to load up. Alright, here we go. Alright guys, and we are here, and right off the bat, for those of you guys who remember the Tower of Terror as seen in Disneyland, this is unmistakable. From the green sign outside to the neon lights, the last time I saw the Tower of Terror before it became Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout was a long time ago, all the way back in the Diamond Celebration in 2017 when I went in December. And that's also the day that I got my green lightsaber all those years ago. And all I remember was from the distance, all the way from the entrance of Disneyland, I just saw this ominous sight, this ominous view of the Hollywood Tower Hotel, and this is unmistakable. Overall, this is very, very impressive. And yeah, again, Shovel Knight, well done. So now we'll go ahead and make our way inside to the queue, which, as far as I knowledge goes, in the real life versions compared to the Disney World and Disneyland version, I think they're very similar to one another. As for the way this world functions, just like before, we got 10 seconds, and once one person gets in, everybody else has 10 seconds to get in before the door's shut. Otherwise, you'll have to rejoin the world. It's the way the world works, and I wish that there was a, like, many people might say that, oh, why isn't there just a button that starts it? I think it's just a way to make the world function more fluently, to be honest. But let's not delay further. Let's go ahead and get inside, and the pre-show will begin. And overall, as you guys can see, this pre-show building is very, very similarly built to the Disney World version. The TV is slightly different compared to the other one. Oh, and this one starts right away.
Door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Hollywood, 1939. Amid the glitz and the glitter of a bustling young movie town at the height of its golden age, the Hollywood Tower Hotel was a star in its own right. a beacon for the show business elite. Now, something is about to happen that will change all that. The time is now, on an evening very much like the one we have just witnessed. Tonight's story in the Twilight Zone is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction. This, as you may recognize, is a maintenance service elevator, still in operation, waiting for you. We invite you, if you dare, to step aboard, because in tonight's episode, you are the star. And this elevator travels directly to the Twilight Zone.
Nice. All right, doors are open. Let's make our way in. So right off the bat, this pre-show, it played all the way through, which is very, very nice. So this is the boiler room of this version. Slightly different, but overall, pretty much is, as far as all the images that I've seen of the Disneyland version, looks just like it. Also slightly different, in this version, we don't have to press the button. We just walk up to it and the elevator automatically comes down, which is neat. Alright, elevator is here. And right off the bat, the seats may look slightly less detailed, but overall, I'm okay with that. I mean, it's quite obvious he put a lot more effort in the Florida version, though this is still just as impressive. Oh, here we go.
The passengers in a most uncommon elevator. About to take the strangest journey of your lives. Your destination unknown, but this much is clear. A reservation has been made in your name for an extended stay. Wave goodbye to the real world. For you have just entered the Twilight Zone. What happened here to dim the lights of Hollywood's brightest showplace is about to unfold once again. One stormy night long ago, 5 people stepped through the door of an elevator and into a nightmare. That door is opening once again, but this time, it's opening for you.
Oh, here we go. Oh, jeez. I'm still not used to that. Do you guys ever get that weird feeling where you know you're not moving, but you feel like you're falling? That's what I'm feeling right now. It's so weird. Oh, here we go. Final drop, guys. Oh, crap.
The next time you check into a deserted hotel on the dark side of Hollywood, make sure you know just what kind of vacancy you're filling, or you may find yourself a permanent resident of the Twilight Zone.
Alright. Alright. The exit's right this way. Cool. So overall, you guys, as you guys saw there, you guys are able to easily tell that the performance of this world is a lot better than the other world. And I think the reason is because this world uses less not only like highly detailed graphics, but also less like video footage. Because one problem that VRChat has always had, is that video players have always had a tendency to cause lag and performance issues in the world. So that is also one thing to keep into consideration. But wow, this is definitely a pretty spot-on recreation of the Disneyland version of Tower of Terror. And overall, I am very impressed. And I still am impressed after finding out about this world ages ago, back in August. So I've actually known about these world recreations for a long time, but I think it's about time that we rank them all. So overall, this is another solid recreation. I won't tell you my ranking just yet because we still got 3 more Tower of Terrors to go. We got 2 more recreations, one based off Florida again, but this made by a different creator, and then another one also made by the same creator, but it's also the Disneyland one. And also, we have the Tower of Terror as seen in Disneyland what's it called? The Japanese version of Tower of Terror. I think it's in Disneyland Shanghai, if I recall correctly. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll leave a subtitle if I recall what it is when I'm editing the video. But let's go ahead and pull those up right now. So overall, this is a very solid recreation of, well, that was the Disneyland version without a doubt. Like there is no mistaking it. All right, so let me go ahead and just pull up the Tower of Terror. Where is it? All right, here it is. It's made by Mr. Twisty. He made this version of the Florida version of Tower of Terror, and we're about to check it out. All right, so portals up. Let's go. Alright guys, we are here. We're at the next version of the Tower of Terror. And as you can see, this one is taking more place akin to daytime. And right after that, just by looking at that alone, that pretty much looks like the Tower of Terror, how it did during the day. So Mr. Twisty did a really good job of recreating how it looks during the day. And as you can see, the performance also in this world, it isn't great. When you first join into the world, the performance is not that great at first, but then afterwards, once the performance clears up, it gets a bit more smoother. I've been to this world a couple times, and I guarantee you that this world does get a lot smoother. So, just like before, we have the gate with Hollywood Tower Hotel insignia right there. We have the supernatural creepy sign that goes from Hollywood Tower of Terror, and it will slowly change into, yep, there it is, into the Twilight Zone's Tower of Terror. Just like the other one. The other one is a bit more smoother than this one, but still, the fact that the creator put it in there anyway, very, very well done. Let's go ahead and make our way into the queue, and we shall get started. So as you can also see, the layout of the queue is, I think, similar to the way it was in the other one, or maybe it is slightly different because I'm already at like the start of the main like lobby, so I think it is slightly shorter. But when it comes to like the curves, I think that's where like the similarities come into play. And also, unlike the other worlds, which they had like rain and were like very quiet, these ones have like actual ambience in them. And they have also vintage signs right here. It looks very, very cool. We got like spider webs, which the other one didn't have, but also this one, I think it's a lot more faithful, the lobby in comparison to the other one. But still, the other one is still very, very faithful. So both of them have my props. All right, so right here is the showroom in this door right here, like so. Okay, so in case you're wondering why Link is here, no particular reason, just why not. So, unlike the other one, as I mentioned before, this time, in order to start the pre-show, we have to push this button. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and press the button. And the pre-show will start. And also, the TV is also a lot different than the previous one.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Alright, so that's the pre-show done, and the door is open, and now we shall make our way into the boiler room, the maintenance room. So yeah, also I will have to definitely dock this one points because the other one has a lot more accurate, a much faithful pre-show than this one. Unfortunately, it is unfortunately sad to admit, but the pre-show of this one is actually kind of disappointing. The waiting room though, the loading room, this is actually a definite improvement in comparison to the other one, I will say. Right, so here we got the actual load instructions as seen in Disney World. Those are accurate. I've actually seen a picture of them. And then we have the actual like ride instructions. So it tells you what to push first, and then we shall be on our way. So let's go ahead and press this button first.
To our valued guests, for your safety once on board, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the elevator at all times. And do take special care to supervise your children. Thank you.
All right, so they have the fact that they actually have the proper audio for the ride is very impressive. Oh, I was pushing the wrong button. I meant to press open doors. There we go. Okay, now what we gotta do is we need to pick a seat, but I need to press the start button. All right, so we gotta do this really, really quick. We have to press the start button right there, and then we need to get inside, and hopefully we won't miss it, because that has happened to me sometimes when I press the button and then I end up missing it, so I have to take the other one. So let's go ahead and hopefully we can pull this off. Okay, let's go.
You are the passengers in a most uncommon elevator about to ascend into your very own episode of The Twilight Zone.
Actually, I think I might need to adjust the world volume for this. I have it at 15 because my headphones, they are surround sound, so it's a lot louder to me than to you guys. So let me go and adjust the volume accordingly. Honestly, I think I should have done that before I got on the ride, but I forgot about the white quality, so that's my fault.
One stormy night long ago, 5 people stepped through the door of an elevator and into a nightmare. That door is opening once again, and this time, it's opening for you. You are about to discover what lies beyond the 5th dimension, beyond the deepest, darkest corner of the imagination, in the Tower of Terror.
Oh, here we go.
A warm welcome back to those of you who made it, and a friendly word of warning. Something you won't find in any guidebook. The next time you check into a deserted hotel on the dark side of Hollywood, make sure you know just what kind of vacancy you're filling, or you may find yourself a permanent resident of the Twilight Zone.
this is where our stop ends, and well, overall, that's it. This is Mr. Twisty's version of the Walt Disney World version of the Tower of Terror. And again, very impressive. Also, just like the other one, this one, albeit in a lesser quality, this one still takes your photo, which again is always a plus in my book whenever it takes a photo of you on ride. And these are photos of, I'm assuming, other people who have gone on the ride as well. Overall, really cool. This way is the exit of the ride. And as you can see, the performance, it did get a lot better, as I said. It is definitely improved when you get off the ride and move around the world than when you join in it. So overall, the performance is not always bad, which is good. So overall, once again, another faithful recreation. Actually, I think this one is a lot more detailed than the previous Florida version of Tower of Terror, which I think is why it has so many performances, just because it looks so good. Alrighty, so overall, that's it. Once again, I will save my ranking until the end of the video. So let's go ahead and pull over, or not pull over. Let's go ahead and pull out the other Twilight Zone recreation, also made by Mr. Twisty. This is the Disneyland version. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what he did. Okay, guys, we're finally here. Jeez, that actually took a lot longer to load than I thought there would. But, thankfully, jump cuts exist for a reason, so that is definitely good to hear. Okay, let me just readjust the volume real quick. So right off the bat, we can definitely see that the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror here, it's going for a lot more stylistic route, I will say. Because honestly, this kind of looks like, you know, like those like 2.5 animated movies that's like, it's like 3D, but it just looks like it's out straight out of a comic. That's what this looks like. But overall, I'm not complaining. I mean, it kind of fits the feel of the Twilight Zone anyway. Right, so just like the other one, this one also has the paranormal changing sign of the Tower of Terror. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Hell, this even has a like an actual, oh, you must be this tall to ride. So apparently you cannot be this short. You have to be this tall minimum in order to, or maybe this is, you have to be this tall minimum, and this is the best recommended height. That's probably what this means. All right, so let's go ahead and make our way in. And as you can see, the queue, again, very impressive. I actually think this queue is a lot more faithful than the other Disneyland version that I wrote. Alright, so overall, the lobby is very, very nice. Spider webs, and even has like couches, which is nice. Alright, so let's go ahead and into the pre-show. Hopefully this one, I can't remember because it's been a while since I wrote this version of the Tower of Terror, but hopefully this pre-show doesn't cut in half, so let's go ahead and press the button. And it should start again. Oh.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Okay, well that answers that question. Alright, the door is open, and alright, that will definitely help with my verdict there at the end of the video. And once again, the loading dock is again very, very impressive. Looks just like how it does in Disneyland. Once again, the loading instructions are right here, actual instructions right here. So we go ahead and press the yellow button.
To our valued guests, For your safety once on board, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside.
Okay, I didn't get a safety throw. I forget what that one is. Okay, let's open the door. Nice. There's the cultivator. I think it's a case of where as soon as we get in, then it starts. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick our seat right here. Okay. And then it should start, right? If I remember. Maybe. Am I remembering this wrong? Right. I think that did it. No, that's done. I think we're good to go. Oh, yeah. There we go. I just forgot to press the button.
There's a most uncommon elevator. About to take the strangest journey of your lives. Your destination unknown, but this much is clear. A reservation has been made in your name for an extended stay. Wave goodbye to the real world. For you have just entered the Twilight Zone. What happened here to dim the lights of Hollywood's brightest showplace is about to unfold once again. One stormy night long ago, 5 people stepped through the door of an elevator and into a nightmare. That door is opening once again, but this time, it's opening for you.
Oh, crap. Here we go. I wasn't expecting that at all, to be honest. Oh. Oh, final drop.
The next time you check into a deserted hotel on the dark side of Hollywood, make sure you know just what kind of vacancy you're filling, or you may find yourself a permanent resident of the Twilight Zone.
Alright, and again, that's partially my fault because I messed up the right volume, so my bad on that, guys. But overall, yeah, that was very well done. I can't recall if the unloading dock is like this, because again, I've never wrote it myself, but you guys let me know in the comments if you wrote it. Alright, so once again, there's our picture right there. Slightly less quality than the Florida version that we rode the first time, but overall, always a plus for me. Here we have the exiting bay with the image of the Tower of Terror promo art. And we even have avatars right here. This one, I don't know. I'm assuming this was just the creator. And right here is even the what do you call these people who work at the hotel? I forget. But yeah, you have them as well. So we'll go ahead and make our way out. And yeah, overall, very well done. I actually think that this version is a lot more faithful to the modern version of the Tower of Terror. Specifically, because when it first opened, the ride sequence was slightly different. But then during the end, during like 2014 to 15, they added more like visuals. And I think, honestly, overall, they did a very good job recreating that. So overall, well done. So overall, I think this one is, I think, it's a tough decision. I'm already trying to think about my vote as is, but let's not think about too hard about that yet. All right, the last Tower of Terror for today that we're going to ride, and also the final Disneyland ride that we're going to be taking a look at today, is the Japanese one, as seen in Disneyland, either Shanghai. I forget what it's called, but It's the Tower of Terror as seen there. But this is also made by Mr. Twisty. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. And as far as my knowledge goes, this is the only existing version of this version of the Tower of Terror. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. Let's go ahead and drop the portal. Wait for it to finish. There it is. And here we go. Alright, we finally made it. And also keep in mind, guys, something I forgot and neglected to mention at the beginning of the video. The reason why loading times for me, or I keep bringing that up, that it's taken a while to load than I thought, is because the fact that I'm recording this in a place where the Wi-Fi or the internet is not very great. So that's why it's taken a lot longer to load than usual. Alright, so right here is a thing to read before you enter the ride. And honestly, I wasn't sure how accurate this was after when I first wrote this, to be honest, since I've never seen any ride footage of the Japanese version of the Tower of Terror before. As a matter of fact, it's drastically different compared to the American version, to be honest. It's still called Tower of Terror and the ride premise is still the same, but it uses an original story, which is cool. The fact that even though it's a different story and it's not based off the Twilight Zone, it still is overall the same premise, and overall it's well done. So I had to look up afterwards to see how faithful it was and then write it again. And I can definitely say that for this being the only version of the Japanese version of the Tower of Terror, this is pretty spot on. So to start the pre-show, just like in the Japanese version, we have to start the megaphone and then the pre-show will start. So here we go. Also, I will add in subtitles for those of you guys who don't understand Japanese. So just pretend you're watching an anime sub. Just pretend. Oh, there we go.
私と同じ運命になるぞ。私の忠告を聞け。呪いは本物だ。シーキウトングの目が。早く逃げろ。まだ間に合う。
Alright, pre-show's done. So now let's go ahead and make our way into the ride vehicle. The loading dock, it isn't much to look at, I will say that. But from what this guy had to work with, honestly, I think he did a pretty solid job, nonetheless. So, let's go ahead and make our way inside. Go and choose our seat, and we should be good to go. And also, I'm pretty sure I won't have to adjust the world volume this time because I think it's loud enough, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
滅を招いてしまったのだから私はあの恐怖を永遠に繰り返す運命なのだ。さあ手を振ってこの世の自分に別れを告げたまえ。
Oh, here we go.
諸君は助かった。だが気をつけろ。恐怖への誘惑に取りつかれてはならん。二度と戻ってくるな。
Alrighty. And, oh, that's gonna be it. That's it for all the Tower of Terrors. And, well, unfortunately, not to mention all the Disney rides on the list, because unfortunately there aren't any more Disney recreations, well, ride recreations yet to take a look at, unfortunately, which is a shame, because honestly, when I found out that there was no more ride recreations that are Disney related, I was honestly fairly disappointed, considering the fact that honestly, it's just long overdue. Let's be real. All right, so Universal rides are next. Surprisingly, its competitor Universal Studios has quite a few ride recreations. Some that are ingenious, others that they're there, they have potential, but they need a bit of work. And also, my verdict for the Tower of Terror, as seen in the Shanghai version of Disneyland, or Tokyo Disney, actually. No, yeah, I'm so dumb. I've been saying Shanghai this whole time. I meant to say Tokyo Disney. That's my fault. Sorry about that. Now I remember. I think. Hopefully, I'll feel like a complete idiot if I still got it wrong. Right. So Universal Studios is next. So the first ride that we're going to be taking a look at is Revenge of the Mummy, also made by Mr. Twisty. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at Revenge of the Mummy, our very first Universal Studios ride that we're going to be taking a look at today. So, without further ado, let's begin. Alright, we are here. Also, one thing definitely to keep in mind, you guys, is the fact that Mr. Twisty, the creator of, well, the Tower of Terrors and Revenge of the Mummy here, he's actually been updating Revenge of the Mummy rather frequently. So, honestly, Revenge of the Mummy now, it looks a lot different than when I first discovered the world. But overall, these improvements are very well done. And I gotta say, he's just making the ride look a lot closer to as it's seen in Universal Studios. So also, funny story, just like the Tower of Terror, how the Disney World version was created first, then the Disneyland version, the Universal Studios Orlando version of the Revenge of the Mummy, it was created first, and then the Hollywood version of Revenge of the Mummy was created second. So this is meant to be a recreation of the Florida version, the original, which makes sense. So yeah, even has the original warning labels as seen in Revenge of the Mummy. I'm pretty sure the queues are the same, and also these weren't here before. It actually has like proper ride gates as seen on Revenge of the Mummy when I wrote it all those years ago. But overall, yeah, it's really, really cool. Right, let's not delay. Let's go ahead and take our seat. And let's just go ahead and start. Let me just push the button. And we'll be off. Here we go.
Are you insane? Get out of here! The curse is real! This whole place is a trap! He's after your soul! Look for the Magi Silence! With your souls, I shall rule for all eternity. Serve me and save the riches beyond measure. Or refuse and savor a more bitter treasure. Akunde Bihakuseta! Even the Magi can save you now. There is no escape. Your end shall be my beginning. Dare you? Behold your fate. Your destiny. Your souls are mine!
We hope you enjoyed your ride. Please remain seated and keep your arms and legs firm.
Prepare to forfeit your souls! Death is only the beginning!
Alrighty. So that was Revenge of the Mummy. And I've already seen ride footage of Revenge of the Mummy as seen in Universal Studios Orlando, and yeah, Mr. Twisty, if you're watching this video, you're just getting so much closer to recreating it almost to perfection, dude. That is awesome. Keep up the good work, man. I will keep coming back here because yeah, this ride is awesome. Though the first time I rode this, I was like maybe like what, 12 years old, and I was scared as crap back then. Oh yeah, and another difference I forgot to mention is the fact that the walls were bare before. They didn't have these hieroglyphics back then, as well as these paintings of the Egyptian gods. I forgot to mention that, but yeah, these are here now, and overall, they make the ride all like a lot more complete now. All right, next ride on our list is Back to the Future, the ride, as seen in Universal Studios Hollywood and Orlando, which would later be replaced by the Simpsons ride. So this was made by Me Strong Bad Me. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and bring up a portal, and we shall get started. All right, portal finished loading. Let's go. All right, we are here. So we are in the Emmett Foundation. This is founded by Dr. Emmett Brown, as seen in Back to the Future. So right here we have the actual ride instructions for World the World. That is recommended by the creator, Meh Strong Bad Meh, and they're on both sides. Here we have the 8-passenger DeLorean, which apparently was the model was made by a colleague of his, which is cool. All right, so let's go ahead, and as you can see, all we gotta do is you just gotta sit down, push the button, and we shall get started. Usually I would always sit on the right side because whenever I'm in a car, I always sit on the right side. Not sure why, I just do. But today, I'm going to make an exception and we're going to sit on the left side today because of just the steering wheel is normally right here. So we're going to make exception today. So let's go ahead and we shall begin.
Get in! Watch your step. Hurry up! Get in, let's go! We've got to move. Watch your step. Get in now. Hurry up! Get ready! Don't worry about a thing. You're in good hands. Oops. I still haven't worked all the bugs out of this thing. But no matter, we're on a mission of universal proportions.
Doc, Biff has passed through the space-time continuum, but we've got no way of knowing where he is.
You mean when he is? And we do have a way of knowing when he is. The 8-passenger time vehicle is equipped with a sub-ether time tracking scanner which will allow us to track Biff to his precise location at the precise moment in whatever time period he may have traveled to.
Doc, all pre-launch system checks are complete.
That's our cue. Hang on to your hats. Don't forget, when you see Biff in the DeLorean, accelerate to 88 miles per hour and bump him. Accelerating now to 55 miles per hour. 65, 75, 85. Still barely in the year 2015. And then Biff, let's get him. Oh, God. Well. Okay, guys, now let's go. Rocket. That's what you think. Boom. Gotta get some gas, Doc. Sick 'em! Come down, big fella. Calm down, easy, boy. Easy, boy. Hey! Hey, I'm in. I know this. What is... What's those doors? We've been swallowed! There he goes! Doc! Doc, what's faster than that, Doc? Help me! Doc, hey! Hey! Please, Doc, help me! Hey! Please!
Okay, so I don't know what happened, but for some reason the ride decided to like cut off at the very end. I don't know what that was about. I wouldn't be surprised if the reason for that is the fact that the ride wasn't able to handle recording and the game running at the same time. So that's probably why it had performance issues. But whenever it doesn't have issues, the ride, again, it's a spot on recreation and you don't even have to wait in the queue or anything. It just goes ahead and gets straight to the point. You hop in, push the button, the ride starts, and yeah, overall, it's a really faithful recreation of Back to the Future. It's a shame that it is no longer with us, unfortunately, but well, it did get replaced by The Simpsons, but it is what it is, unfortunately. And considering what happened with Back to the Future here, I don't know what will happen because The Simpsons is next on the list, but I don't know how well that will run. But you never know unless you find out. So there's only one way to find out. So overall, I wish to recreate the overall experience that the entire building was recreated, but for what it managed to recreate, I think it does a very good job at it. The model of the DeLorean itself, it's actually pretty good. It doesn't look exactly like the eight-passenger DeLorean actually looks, but overall, the fact that they were able to 3D model a car in general, the person that did this, hold on, let me see, who was it? Oh, the Maxley dog, because he's the one who. Oh no, Squid. He's the one who provided the car model, and the Maxley dog provided the ride footage. But overall, yeah, props to you three, and hopefully this world gets updated one day, so it's compatible for both players. Which we'll get into that another day. But let's go ahead and get into the Simpsons real quick, which I think may be our last ride for today. Actually, let me just double check just to make sure I'm not forgetting anything here real quick. I just need to see if we are forgetting anything. Yeah, that's our last ride for today, is the Simpsons ride. So we're gonna go ahead and ride that, and well, we'll go ahead and call it a day. So, okay, apparently I'm dumb because I like skipped over it like 3 times. There it is. And this one, this recreation of The Simpsons, it was recreated by Tony Films 335. All right, portal is loading up, and now let's go. Alrighty, so here we are in Krusty Land. Here is the ride vehicle from The Simpsons, which, as you can, well, I didn't realize this before, but now as you can tell, it's a, they can clearly see where they recycled some parts from the DeLorean when this was Back to the Future. Didn't know that before. I didn't even know this was Back to the Future at all, but now I do. So right here we got the instructions right here for the VRChat version of the ride. And with that being said, let's go ahead and hop inside the vehicle. Let's go ahead and get in the back seat. And let's go ahead and push the button. Hopefully this is able to run properly. You guys will be able to see it, the ride. And, well, fingers crossed. Let's do it.
I've taken over every area of the park. There's no place you'll be safe from me. And now, enjoy a ride that's about to be demolished while you're riding it.
Ooh, a roller coaster!
I'm scared, Dad!
Sweetie, they won't kill you in an amusement park as long as... You guys haven't seen a giant steel ball, have you? You don't want to hurt me, Bo! We're both big and round and never finished high school! Save me, turret!
Welcome to a magical journey through my mouth. You're all gonna die.
A fate worse than death. A kiddie ride.
At least we're safe.
Panda begs to differ. You shut up! Say we.
Alone at last.
Bob's trying to kill the kids.
It just gets better and better.
Now, Homer, because I want to be fair, a piece of advice. Resist every temptation I place in front of you.
Oh, beer!
Homer, it's a temptation.
When did beer hurt anybody? I hate chain reaction!
You spoiled my plans for the last time. Now.
You soiled your pants for the last time? We'll save you! Onward, convenient whale!
Maybe that exit sign leads to an exit! Mark! Stay away from the ramp! I'm in ramps!
Now for the unkindest cut of all.
They grow up so fast!
Cuts are all tourists.
Do not fear. A bird is here.
I'll give you back your pacifier if you destroy Springfield.
Careful. The baby is wet and presumed pregnant.
I'm not gonna change that diaper.
Mommy's coming, giant Maggie! Come on, Maggie! Disclose something! Look at you walking Get away from my baby! Maggie, that's not a pacifier! It's tourists out of your mouth! You don't know where they've been!
Home sweet. No! Foolish earthlings, don't you know all rides must end near the gift shops? My bosoms are slapping my face!
Like nothing, Gravity! I'm a baby bird!
This must be the part where they take the picture. Okay? Smile.
I still got 5.
All right, and that's it. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, whenever I'm recording, it has like these performance issues. I can't put my head around it. It's probably because the game is unable to handle it at the same time. That probably might be why. But usually the actual ending, actually is seen. So yeah. But overall, yeah, that was the Simpsons ride, and that's as pretty much as spot on as you can get it. There's no ride queue or anything, just like Back to the Future. It just gets straight to the point. But overall, with what it has to work with just making sure the ride feels authentic, and I've been on the Simpsons ride, so I know what it feels like. Well, granted, it was moving so like crazily that I couldn't even look up at the screen, but still, from what it felt like, that felt as authentic as you can get. So overall, props to who made this ride? This recreation? Tony Phillips 335. Props to you, my guy. And there are some improvements that I would that I wish would be implemented. Like for example, there have been times where I've came to show this ride to some of my friends, and for some reason, there's this weird technical issue where if you press the button, some people will see it, other people won't, which is really weird. So hopefully that gets fixed. And well, other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. So without further ado, that's pretty much all the ride recreations I got. And I'm pretty sure, because I'm trying to think very carefully if I'm forgetting anything. Don't think I am, but without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the results. So without further ado, let's get started. We'll go ahead and head to my home world for that. So without further ado, let's make our way there. Alrighty, so now that we are back and everything has been made in order, actually, you know what I'm going to do instead of going to that mirror? I'm just going to go ahead and put my personal mirror right here. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and then just adjust it real quick. Right, so now that we're back with our home world and I got my personal mirror for this, so it doesn't look that awkward because honestly, I think seeing me as I speak is a lot more, it makes a lot more sense than if I were to, than if you were just to just hear my voice. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's look at the results on how each ride performed. Shall we? Let's take a look at the custom chart I made just for this occasion. Alright guys, now for the moment you've been waiting for. As you can see, I got the Galaxy Defender tier list ranked up, and now it's time to rank all of these ride recreations and figure out which one is the best. So in order to figure out successfully how to rank each one, let me explain to you how my tier list will work. Basically, I will be giving each ride a ranking from 1 to 10, and then for the final verdict, all the points will be added together to form the final verdict. So we will be judging these rides based on the ride queues, if the ride had one, the faithfulness that the ride recreation does in order to maintain its nostalgia to the original. Basically, how faithful is it to the original ride? I should have just said it the first time. I feel so dumb. Okay, anyways, right. Changes that were made to the ride recreation in order to make it work with VRChat, because there are some things that you have to keep in mind with these ride recreations, which is probably what the creators either had issues with or something that they needed to change in order to make it work with the game, which is an acceptable reason for changes such as this, which is what we'll be ranking on how much of that was changed and ultimately if the changes were made for the best or not. And then finally, the final verdict, which will be adding up all the points together once we ranked all the points. Starting off with version 1 of the Tower of Terror made by Shovel Knight as seen in Disney World. So, the ride queue. How was the ride queue? So off camera, I went ahead and rewatched just to be sure some videos of the ride queue and, or rather, of all the rides to compare the ride queue and compare them to the ride recreation. So I actually did went back off camera just to compare the ride queues. And overall, the ride queue for version 1 of the Tower of Terror, it's almost an exact recreation. Now, arguably, I will say that version 1 of the Tower of Terror, or should I say Shovel Knight's version, did have less detail in comparison to the later versions, but we will talk about that when we get to them. But for what it is, there are some details missing, but overall it is a very solid recreation of the ride queue. The pre-show was very good, and overall the boiler room was very well done for what he had to work with. And also the fact that you have to call the elevator yourself is a nice touch, because I believe that that was also how it was done in the Disney World version of Tower of Terror, if I recall correctly. Though the videos I saw of the ride-throughs skipped that part. So even after like I looked at the most popular videos and yet they edited over it, very annoying. But nevertheless, I'm gonna go ahead and give the ride queue for version 1 of the Tower of Terror a 7 out of 10. Overall, very well done. There are some details that are missing, but overall, what they had to work with, very well done. Now, probably the most important aspect of this entire ranking, its faithfulness to the original. How faithful was this ride recreation to the original Tower of Terror in Disney World? And I gotta say, honestly, they pretty much nailed it for the most part. There are some differences, very, very small ones. The ride audio is a bit like echoey to say the least, but overall, very well done. Now, there are some performance issues, but we will talk about that in the changes made to the VRChat compatibility. But overall, the faithfulness to the original, what else can I say? Shovel Knight did an absolutely fantastic job at recreating the Tower of Terror. And overall, if you rode the Tower of Terror in person, chances are you will definitely remember things going the way they did in this ride recreation. So overall, for the faithfulness to the original, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Overall, it's very well done. There, like I said, there's some differences. The pre-show was very good, and the ride sequence, though there was some bits where it was out of sync. But overall, very, very well done. Now, changes made for VRChat compatibility. Now, this is where we're going to have to dock at some points. Unfortunately, because of the fact that this is a PC exclusive ride, so in other words, people who have the Oculus Quest, the Oculus Meta Quest 2, they will not be able to attend this recreation, and that is a huge bummer, and ultimately, that is going to dock at some point. Also, there was some performance issues during the ride. There was a bit of lag during the ride itself. Now, this is solely because of the amount of stuff that is inside the ride that overall it just affects it so much. Now, also the fact that chances are because it was so difficult to shove so much stuff in the world, that's probably what made it so laggy. And ultimately, it was a bit of a downer. So that will also have to dock at some points as well. So overall, when it comes to changes made for the VRChat ride compatibility, oh yeah, and also though some of the things in the ride sequences were slightly different. Like for example, during the fifth dimension sequence, some of the things were different. Like for example, everything was like a two-dimensional image. Now in the original ride, the cart was able to move like a ride vehicle on like one of those like line robots where it just like follows a line. And you didn't really do that. You would just go straight, and the things that needed to be there were there, but it was slightly different. I'm assuming that this change was made in order to make it work with VRChat. Now that does make sense, and I will definitely cut it some slack. So when it comes to changes made for VRChat compatibility, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10. Overall, very well done, and the fact remains that this has got to be one of the most accurate versions of the Tower of Terror that I have seen. But we will talk about that in the next version of the Walt Disney World version of Tower of Terror. Now, the final verdict for version 1 of the Tower of Terror, made by Shovel Knight, sums up to a total of 22 points. Overall, very well done, a very well thought recreation, and overall, Shovel Knight, if you're watching this video, if you're the user in VRChat who created this, you should be proud, especially since your version of Tower of Terror is one of the best. Now, let's talk about Shovel Knight's version of the Disneyland version of Tower of Terror. Now, the ride queue. Overall, I've seen a lot more videos of the Disneyland version, or should I say the Disney California Adventure version of Tower of Terror than the Disney World version. And the reason being is because, well, I've been to Disneyland myself, as you guys probably already know. But anyways, so, ride queue. Definitely a lot more accurate than the Disney World version. Now, once again, there are some details missing, but overall, the pre-show's audio was a lot more clearer in this version. And the boiler room section, although it looked roughly the same, but it was slightly more accurate because the elevator comes down automatically, unlike in the Disney World version, how you have to call it yourself. And also the fact that remains that overall, everything, the way the pre-showed and the way you walk through the queue went down, overall, extremely accurate. So he definitely did improve in comparison to his Disney World version. And not to mention the performance is really, really great. So overall, when it comes to the ride queue, again, very faithful. There are some details missing, but overall, I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10. It's quite obvious that he took what he learned from the Disney World version and improved them for the Disneyland version. And overall, I salute you. Now, faithfulness to the original. Honestly, I am very impressed. The fact that, again, I rode both versions, and it's quite obvious the fact that he paid so much attention to the way that the Disneyland version works. The fact that the ride audio is so much better in comparison to the Disneyland version. And overall, it is just so much more accurate. He's quite obvious that he learned from his previous mistake that he did on the Disney World version. And overall, the performance on the Disneyland version is a significant improvement in comparison to the Disney World version. So without a doubt, this gets a 9 out of 10. Very, very well done. All the faithfulness is there. It could use a bit more detail here and there, but overall, it's extremely accurate to the original Tower of Terror when it used to be in Disney California Adventure before it became Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. But overall, very well done, Shovel Knight. I salute you. Now, changes made for VRChat compatibility. Now, there wasn't that many changes. However, unfortunately, this cannot be ignored. The fact that there is a lot less detail in comparison to the Disney World version. Like, for example, the elevator shaft, the seats were just like blocks. So that is definitely unfortunate. The performance, however, was good. Don't get me wrong. And that probably was needed to be changed in order for the ride to perform much better. Now, would I have liked the detailed seats? Absolutely. But as it is, overall, it's all right. And also the fact that I have to dock it points because of the fact that it's not quest compatible, so quest users cannot ride this recreation of the Disneyland version of Tower of Terror. But as it is, there are some changes that needed to be made, and ultimately, if you gotta make the changes, then you gotta make them. So as for the changes made for VRChat compatibility, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 6 out of 10. So the final verdict for the Disneyland version of Tower of Terror, also made by Shovel Knight, sums up to a total of 23 points, 1 point more than the Disney World version, solely because of the fact that it is a lot more accurate in comparison to the Disney World version of Tower of Terror. And overall, it's quite obvious that he took what he learned for the previous version, did quite a bit of improvements. Now, he had to make a couple of changes, which is fine. But overall, yeah, hopefully in the future he's able to make it quest compatible. That would be awesome. Now, let's talk about version 2 of the Tower of Terror as seen in Disney World. This one was made by Mr. Twisty, which he made quite a few rides that are on this list, which is impressive nonetheless. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at his version of Tower of Terror. Now, the ride queue for Tower of Terror. Once again, very impressive. It is a lot more detailed than Shovel Knight's version of Tower of Terror, which again is very impressive. Now, unfortunately, when you enter the world, there is a bit of lag and performance issues, but it does correct itself when you stay longer in the world, which is fine. But overall, the ride queue, all the missing details that were missing on Shovel Knight's version are there in Mr. Twisty's version. So overall, well done. Now, unfortunately, though, there are some changes that unfortunately do hurt this ride. But nevertheless, the ride queue, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10 out of 10. Why? Because it's literally just a perfect recreation of the queue with some minor changes, but overall, it's quite obvious that he put a lot of attention to detail, and overall, well done. Now, faithfulness to the original, I could go as far as to say that the effects and all that are a lot more accurate. Now, honestly, this guy got a lot closer to recreating the ride sequence for Tower of Terror than Mr. Shovel Knight's version, even though Shovel Knight's version is also very close. Now, unfortunately, the pre-show was not complete and it was inaccurate and distinct, so that does hurt the ride since the pre-show for Tower of Terror is probably one of the most essential things about all versions of Tower of Terror. Even the Tokyo Disney version of Tower of Terror, the pre-show is absolutely essential, and the fact that his version is not accurate unfortunately does hurt the ranking. But overall, his version of the ride sequence is a nearly perfect version. He even has the safety spiel. Unfortunately, that wasn't finished all the way and it does cut off at the end, but overall, the fact that his has that just shows how much attention to detail that he puts in. So overall, I'm going to go ahead and give faithfulness to the original a 9 out of 10. If it, honestly, it would go up one more point if the pre-show was a bit more complete, like Shovel Knight's version. But overall, he got so close, super close. Now, changes made for VRChat compatibility. Now we got to talk about this. So again, unfortunately, this is not Quest compatible, so Quest users cannot go on this, which is unfortunate. Also, the fact that the world seems very empty. Now, Shovel Knight version actually had like boundaries that made it feel as if, well, this is all that ride is. But the fact that it feels incomplete, the fact that there's like no walls, and the fact that you can just basically like fall off to the edge of the world if you notice, because there's like no walls. So it honestly feels like open and like spacious when it probably shouldn't be. And there's not even any like skybox on top. Now, if you guys don't know what a skybox is, it's basically it's this thing where, think about it this way. For a video game, this is how they make the sky look like the sky. They use a thing called the skybox to make the sky look like a certain image. Like, for example, if you want to make it look like night, you would use this orb that has an image of nighttime, and you would put it in the skybox, and that would make your world look like in the middle of the night. So that's what the skybox is. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Twisty's version of Tower of Terror does not have that, and unfortunately, it just makes it feel a bit incomplete. Also, the fact that there's a lot of performance issues with the ride is unfortunate, but it does get sorted out the longer you stay in the ride. So, changes made for VRChat compatibility, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6 out of 10. And now, the final verdict for Mr. Twisty's version of Tower of Terror, as seen in Disney World, adds up to a total of 25 points. The reason is because he took what Shovel Knight already did and made it better. He added in the missing details that were there. He added a lot more attention to detail. Even the boiler room looks a lot better than it did in Shovel Knight's version, even though Shovel Knight still did a very fantastic job. But overall, well done, Mr. Twisty. I salute you. Now, let's talk about the Disneyland version of the Tower of Terror, made also by Mr. Twisty. Now, Ride Queue, once again, almost entirely to perfection. All the missing details are there. And also, I forgot to mention in the previous version, Link. Why was he there? No idea. But anyways, right. So overall, once again, Ride Queue is perfect when it comes to the Disneyland version. Now, again, once again, the pre-show is not complete, but overall, everything else is there that was not present on Shovel Knight's version. So once again, Ride Queue for Tower of Terror is another 10 out of 10. Very well done. Now, faithfulness to the original. I gotta say, Mr. Twisty put a lot more effort into his version than Shovel Knight, even though Shovel Knight still did a fantastic job. As a matter of fact, he actually got his closer to the Disneyland version of Tower of Terror. Basically, both versions are very accurate when it comes to faithfulness to the original. Now, what Mr. Twisty did was he made his more accurate to the modern day version of Tower of Terror, as seen in 2015, where they added a lot more special effects, the ride audio was a lot more clearer, and overall, they just enhanced an already classic ride. So overall, faithfulness to the original, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9 out of 10. The only thing that's not accurate, and unfortunately this hurts the ranking, is the fact that once again, the pre-show is not complete, and also the safety spiel cuts off in half. But overall, he was so close to being there. He almost had it, so hopefully he'll be able to fix those problems in the future. That's if he ever updates this ride. Well, maybe he will in the future, and I'll get to that in a bit when we enter the Universal Studios ride. But overall, Mr. Twisty, very well done. Faithfulness to the original is a 9 out of 10. Okay, changes made for VRChat compatibility. Let's talk about this. So overall, the performance of this Tower of Terror is a significant improvement in comparison to the Disney World version. There is like no lag when you enter the world. Oh yeah, and it even has like the actual safety information outside before you enter Tower of Terror, which again is attention to detail. And the fact that he was able to add that in is very well done. Now, unfortunately, there still is no skybox, which is unfortunate, and also the fact that there still are no barriers, which make it feel incomplete. But overall, the fact that it has good performance, it still isn't Quest compatible, which is unfortunate. But overall, this is a significant improvement in comparison to Mr. Twisty's Disney World version of Tower of Terror. So overall, changes made for VRChat compatibility, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Once again, very good job, and overall, hopefully you're able to make this Quest compatible in the future. Now, the final verdict for the Disneyland version of Tower of Terror, made by Mr. Twisty, adds up to a total point count of 28 points. So far, our highest ranked ride on the list. So overall, very well done. But we still got 4 more rides to go, so let's go ahead and see what the rest of my rankings are. Now, let's talk about so far the only existing version of Tower of Terror, as seen in Tokyo Disney Sea. Now, the ride queue. It is fairly accurate to it. Now, however, there is some missing details, and unfortunately, the ride queue, the portion of it when you enter the elevator, feels very empty. There is like a lot of details that are missing, and unfortunately, this does hurt the ride significantly. So, unfortunately, the ride queue, it is fairly accurate. The details, the main ones are there, but overall, it could be a lot better. So overall, I'm going to give the ride queue a 6 out of 10, because there's just a lot of missing details there, like a bunch of like statuettes and like treasures and pictures that are just missing from the ride queue. That overall, it kind of like destroys the feel when you compare the two. So unfortunately, a 6 out of 10 for the ride queue. Now, faithfulness to the original, on the other hand, there is a lot of things that needed to be changed in order to make this work, but overall, the ride is very, very faithful to the original. Tower of Terror. And the fact that, again, this version of Tower of Terror is not based on the Twilight Zone. However, the fact that it uses an original story that works, very, very impressive. And the fact that Mr. Twisty is the only person with an existing version of Tower of Terror. All the special effects are there. The ride audio, there's no existing like clean ride audio, so he had to use what he had to use, which is acceptable. And overall, the ride sequence is as accurate as you can get. So overall, faithfulness to the original, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 9 out of 10. Very, very well done. The faithfulness is there, and overall, this guy should be proud. The fact that he has the only version of Tower of Terror in Tokyo Disney, and overall, it is a really good recreation. There is just so much potential to make it even better. Like, if you add in all those missing details and make the visuals, now the ride visuals, there's chances are there's no way of them being recreated because there's like no clean footage of it, which makes sense, which is why you had to use still images for the most part. But overall, very, very well done. And the fact that you're the only one who has the Tokyo version of Tower of Terror, very well done. You should be proud. Now, changes made for VRChat compatibility. Ooh, we gotta talk about this, guys, because unfortunately, this feels a lot emptier in comparison to the. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention this in the ride queue. Something that hurts is the fact that not only does the ride queue stop, but also the fact that when the ride ends, there's like no exit. There's no exit. There's no way out, unlike the others. That also is what hurts the ride queues, which is why it's a 6 out of 10. I forgot to mention that. My apologies. Now, changes for VRChat compatibility. Once again, it is PC exclusive, so Quest users will not be able to attend, so that automatically docks it a few points. Now, it feels a lot emptier as well because of the fact that, unfortunately, there is just a lot of missing details that probably needed to be changed in order for it to work with VRChat. Like, for example, the elevator door design is a lot different, but I'm assuming that this was made in order to make it work. And also the fact that that's probably the reason why there's no skybox and why it feels so empty, because of the fact that there's like probably so much stuff into it that it has to be made in order for it to make it work. So overall, I'm gonna go ahead and give changes made for VRChat compatibility a 7 out of 10. Now, the final verdict for the Tower of Terror, as seen in Tokyo Disney, is adding up to approximately 22 points, meaning this ride is tied with the Disney World version of Tower of Terror created by Shovel Knight. And just like that, that's the end of the Disney rankings. Now, let's go ahead and move on to Universal Studios. Now, Revenge of the Mummy, as seen in Universal Studios Florida. Ooh, we got a big one here, guys. This is a very, very big one. This ride was also created by Mr. Twisty, and my God, I gotta say that this is probably one of his best works yet. The fact that he constantly has been updating this ride to make it better is very, very nice. And also the fact that this is Quest compatible. Oh my God, we got like so much to talk about. So firstly, the ride queue. Unfortunately, the ride queue is incomplete because it does miss the pre-show and also the main entrance for Revenge of the Mummy. But overall, the fact that the main part of the queue, when you board the ride, is there, it has the proper ride gate, and the fact that it's decorated very nicely with Egyptian hieroglyphics of the Egyptian gods. And overall, it's Revenge of the Mummy, and it has been done justice. So overall, the ride queue, I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10. If it had those extra details like the exit, the main entrance of Revenge of the Mummy, and even the pre-show, if that was even possible, even though there's no clean footage of the pre-show, but overall, if it was done, oh, that would have given an instant 10 out of 10. Now, faithfulness to the original, on the other hand, oh my God, literally, this ride has changed so much since I discovered it all those months ago in August, and I gotta say, I can tell that he loves Revenge of the Mummy so much. It's like a nearly perfect recreation of Revenge of the Mummy, and the fact that he's constantly improving it just makes it all the more better. All the details were there. There were some slight changes that needed to be done because of the sake of VRChat, but overall, it's a nearly perfect version of Revenge of the Mummy, and overall, a very, very great job. So without a doubt, in my mind, and also, come on, it's Revenge of the Mummy based on the Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. Who doesn't love those movies, you know? I know I do, because honestly, those movies are awesome. I've seen all of them. Well, not all of them, but I've seen The Mummy, Return of the Mummy, or no, The Mummy Returns. I skipped out on Mummy the Dragon King because that movie sucks. And I actually have seen The Scorpion King, and it's okay. Okay, so without a doubt in my mind, it's a nearly perfect version. Now, there are some differences, but overall, it's a nearly perfect version of Revenge of the Mummy. And overall, a very well done recreation. So, without a doubt in my mind, I'm going to go ahead and give Revenge of the Mummy, for faithfulness to the original, a 9 out of 10. The only reason why is because all it's missing is that extra pre-show and even the exit, maybe even the front entrance. But overall, the ride itself, oh my god, it is awesome. And the fact that it's a nearly perfect recreation, very, very well done. Changes made for VRChat compatibility. Now, first off, this is probably the only ride, unfortunately, on this list that is actually Quest compatible, which is awesome. Now, also, things that were different is the fact that some of the video players on the ride didn't work properly. Like, there was one that was supposed to have Imhotep during the part where he says, "Not even the Magi can save you now." The video player was there, but it wasn't working. But overall, there was like little to no changes made. And overall, again, it's just a perfect recreation of Revenge of the Mummy. So, changes made for VRChat compatibility, I'm going to give it, without a doubt, a 10 out of 10, making it the very first on this list to have a 10 out of 10. Now, the final verdict for Revenge of the Mummy is 27 points, making it the second highest so far on this list. Now, let's go ahead and rank the others to see how high they rank on this list. Now, next up is Back to the Future, the ride as seen in Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Florida. Unfortunately, because this ride did not have a ride queue, I cannot give it points for that, so it does not count. So, we're not going to count it. However, faithfulness to the original, oh my god. It extremely helps out the fact that Universal has released actual ride footage, clean ride footage that was saved from the archives in order for, like for example, if you bought the Blu-ray on for Back to the Future, then you have in the special features there is a recreation of Back to the Future using actual ride footage from the ride. So for example, if you're looking for clean ride footage, that's what he used, which overall it made the feel it was an exact replica of Back to the Future, and the fact that I'm having a hard time describing it just shows how much of an amazing job this guy did at recreating Back to the Future the ride. It is a shame that I wasn't able to ride it when it was there, but overall, it is such an iconic ride, and overall, it's Back to the Future, so come on. Faithfulness to the original, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. It is pretty much an exact copy of Back to the Future the ride, and overall, very, very well done. Now, changes made for VRChat compatibility. Ooh, now this is where unfortunately I'm gonna have to be somewhat harsh to the ride. Now, unfortunately, as you guys saw when we were riding the ride, it was not able to handle me recording, or rather playing VRChat at the same time, which is a shame. The fact that I was able to do it pretty much easily with all the other ones, but with Back to the Future, it could not handle it, which unfortunately does hurt this. Now, also the fact that hurts this is the fact that the video screens, even if I wasn't recording, they still have malfunctioned in the past. Like for example, I recall riding this with, I believe it was one of my friends, and the ride, it did malfunction, and the ride ended early, which again, that is extremely unfortunate. I have to dock it points for the changes made to VRChat compatibility. Speaking of which, it also is not Quest compatible, so Quest users cannot ride this, and also the fact that probably for this reason is why they cut out the queue, because of the fact that they focused all the gigabytes and stuff, they focused on the video player. Now, overall, if it wasn't for the video player malfunctioning, and also if it was Quest compatible, this would have gotten a lot more points. But I mean, come on, it's Back to the Future, and overall, I have to give credit where credit is due. The fact that this guy was so close to make a near perfect version of Back to the Future, and the fact that if it wasn't for those issues, this would have gotten a lot more points. But as it is right now, overall, there were not a lot of changes made for VRChat compatibility. It's just that I wish this was Quest compatible. That would be amazing. But as it is right now, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10. So, the final verdict for Back to the Future the ride. Unfortunately, it gets 0 points because there was no ride queue. But, as it is now, it ranks up to a total of 17 points. Which again, it is a real shame that it did not have a ride queue, which is probably one of the most memorable things about Back to the Future. Even the main entrance, if it was made, then that would have gotten a 10 out of 10 for sure. But as it is right now, there is no exit. You just spawn in right as the ride starts, which is fine. But still, it's just that that extra detail would have made it a lot more awesome. Now, let's move on to the Simpsons ride. Once again, as seen in Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Florida. Once again, unfortunately, this does not have a ride queue, so I cannot give it any points, so therefore, unfortunately, in this ranking, it doesn't count. Now, faithfulness to the original, what can I say? The ride vehicle is perfect. The entire loading bay of the ride is perfect. And I actually rode the Simpsons ride, so I actually do know what it looks like. And overall, this guy absolutely nailed it. And also the fact that there is clean ride footage of the Simpsons ride, so overall, that made his job a lot more easier. And overall, well done. So faithfulness to the original, and also I have to give it this ranking because I have a humongous respect for the Simpsons. Is without a doubt a 10 out of 10. Well done, nice job. Now, changes made for VRChat compatibility. Now, this is where, unfortunately, it hurts this ride the most. The fact that there is a huge malfunction, even when I'm not recording, there's a huge malfunction in the ride where when a person presses a start button, some people won't see it, some people will see it, which is a humongous malfunction that not even Back to the Future had, which really does hurt this ride. The fact that it has such a huge problem, a huge flaw, that ultimately hurts this ride. The fact that some people, when you push the button, even the person who presses the button, sometimes they can't even see it, and sometimes nobody can see it, which again is really, really unfortunate, and that ultimately hurts this ranking. Now, the other problem that this ride has, aside from the fact that it's not Quest compatible, is ultimately the fact that it has the same problem as Back to the Future, where when recording, sometimes the ride will end early, which, oh my god, again, it hurts to say it, but it really does hurt this ride a lot. So if there was some changes made that fix this ride, then it will go back up a few points. But as is right now, unfortunately, I'm going to have no choice but to rank it a 5 out of 10. Again, it really does suck that I got to rank it this low on the list. But unfortunately, its problems cannot be ignored, and ultimately, that does hurt it as a result. Now, the final verdict for the Simpsons ride, unfortunately being the lowest so far on this list, ranks up to a total amount of 15 points. Which again, it sucks the fact that it's the Simpsons ride that got hurt the most, but its problems cannot be ignored, and overall, hopefully those problems get fixed, and also it becomes Quest compatible in the future. But as is right now, it's the lowest part of the list, which sucks because it's a nearly perfect recreation of the Simpsons ride, but the fact that it has these problems, it really, really does suck. Now, with that being said, that is the list all done. So, the winner and the most accurate ride on the entire list in VRChat so far goes to the Twilight Zone's Tower of Terror, as seen in Disneyland California Adventure, created by Mr. Twisty, scoring with first place with 28 points. So overall, Mr. Twisty, congratulations, your ride is the most accurate version of any of these rides that exist so far in VRChat. Now, scoring in second place is without a doubt Mr. Twisty's Revenge of the Mummy, as seen in Universal Studios Florida, scoring with 27 points. Once again, Mr. Twisty, very great job, and the fact that you continue to update this ride and it's Quest compatible, so that automatically makes it the best of your two recreations, but point-wise, it ranks in second place. Now, ranking in third place is the Twilight Zone's Tower of Terror, as seen in Disney World, created by, once again, Mr. Twisty. Once again, very well done. The fact that all of your creations so far are on the top of the list, with their Disney World version scoring in third place. Well done. Now, in fourth place, ranking. Now, fourth place doesn't necessarily mean it's the worst. Fourth place just means that it's the fourth highest one on the list. In fourth place goes to the Twilight Zone's Tower of Terror, as seen in Disneyland California Adventure, created by Shovel Knight, scoring a total of 23 points. Shovel Knight, once again, you should be proud. The fact that your version of Tower of Terror is so close to the original. The fact that if it just has all those missing details, and the fact that if it was Quest compatible, overall that would have gotten a lot higher in the list. Now, as for honorable mentions, the two honorable mentions go to version 1 of the Tower of Terror, created by Shovel Knight, and the Tower of Terror as seen in Tokyo Disney, both scoring a tie-breaking 22 points. So overall, honorable mentions to those two, they were so close to being high up on the list. But unfortunately, their missing details and on occasion performance issues are what hurt both of these rides. Now, unfortunately, this makes Back to the Future and the Simpsons rides, unfortunately, the weakest rides on the list. And the fact that they are so close, and they have like so much potential that if they just get all those issues fixed, they can become Quest compatible. And also, if they are able to add in the entrance, if that's possible, that would be amazing. But if they just had those issues fixed, then that would have like scored them up a lot more points. Also, by the time I am recording this, I also want to point out as well that there was one ride recreation that I missed, but ultimately this would have, if I had ranked that on the list, it would have scored lower, which is a recreation of Disney's Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Rise of the Resistance. But unfortunately, it would have gotten last placed on the list because of the fact that A, it was Quest compatible, but ultimately the fact that the ride recreation, you were just looking at a screen the whole time while sitting in the ride vehicle when it's made quite obvious that the ride vehicle in the video is present. So overall, that would have been the weakest if I had ranked it, but I didn't choose to rank it because I completely forgot that it was in my list. But overall, that would have been in last place with Back to the Future and The Simpsons, unfortunately. But with that being said, that is going to wrap up my ranking of all of every single ride recreation so far in VRChat. Question is, do you guys agree with this list? And if not, let me know in the comments down below how you guys would rank differently. But overall, yeah, that pretty much sums up all the ride recreations that I have found so far. So overall, what do I think about all these ride recreations? I think that they're awesome. Do I wish to see a lot more ride recreations in the future? Oh, absolutely. I honestly think it would be amazing if there were ride recreations of like Star Tours, Transformers the Ride 3D from Universal Studios, or if there was recreations of some of the various Disney themed rides like Peter Pan's Flight, or like say what are we called? Splash Mountain. That's a really great example of a ride recreation that I wish that was actually had one here in VRChat because honestly, I think it would be really cool. What else? Big Thunder Mountain, for example. Maybe the Neutron light cycle in Disney World. That's a good idea. What else? Maybe a recreation of E.T. because I know that E.T. was a very beloved ride at Universal Studios, so that could be a good one. Terminator. That was another good one, I think, of a ride recreation that would be cool. Yeah, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but overall, yeah, there's like so much potential. Honestly, I think it would be awesome if some of the suggestions that I have actually get right recreations. If so, then I might make a video in the future about them later on. So overall, what did I think? I think these ride recreations are very cool, and overall, it just makes me appreciate well, this game a lot more, and the fact that the stuff that people can do with this game. Overall, is it complicated to make worlds like this? Oh, I would imagine. It was already hard enough to make my avatar as is. Was it worth it in the end? Oh, absolutely. Just look how cool my armor looks. The fact that it's like an actual 3D form. I think it looks awesome in my opinion. But overall, yeah, that's pretty much it. So overall, that's going to wrap up the ride recreations, the various ones that I found in VRChat. So overall, that's going to be it. So overall, hopefully you guys agree with the final verdict, or do you disagree with some of them? Let me know in the comment section down below. And I think that's it. So, as promised, Undertale Part 1 will be the next video that you guys will see. So hopefully it does not disappoint, and hopefully I'll be able to get that underway. So overall, what did we do today? We rode rides from Disney and its competitor, Universal Studios. We ranked them, we had fun, and, well, that's pretty much it. So overall, if you guys liked the video, please be sure to smash the like button. And if you guys are new to the channel, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you get notifications for every single one of my videos. And please be sure to join the Galaxy Defenders. I'd very much appreciate that. You guys joining my crusade, especially since my subscriber count, we were at 123 subscribers. Quite literally, I'm not even joking. At the time of this recording, we're currently at 123 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for the support. You guys are awesome Galaxy Defenders. And yeah, let's keep that subscriber count growing. Also, if you guys are interested, my links to my DeviantArt and my the Galaxy Defender Discord server I'll leave the links down below. So if you guys are interested in checking them out, the links will be in the description down below. So please be sure to check that out if you guys are interested. It's been a while since I did my outro, so if I'm messing it up, please cut me some slack. It's been a while since I make a video. Please just be a bit nice to me. Okay? And I think that's pretty much it. So this is the various ride recreations from Disney and Universal Studios as seen in VRChat. Also, based on this video, would you guys want me to make more videos in VRChat? Whether they be random, whether they be about certain games, or just a bunch of random shenanigans? Let me know in the comment section down below. And, well, you might get another video. And I think that's pretty... Oh, I almost fell off. Jeez. It's because I'm too excited the fact that I'm making videos again. Oh my god, guys, it's been so long, but let's not get into that. But there you guys have it. There is this episode of VRChat. Probably the... Well, so far the only episode of VRChat that I've made a video on. And I think that's pretty much all there is to say. So, this is MKN4, aka Meta Knight in N4, signing out. Peace out, Galaxy Defenders, and remember, you never know unless you find out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, you guys, and you guys have a nice day. I'll see you guys in Undertale.